Standing near the southernmost end of the Cascades, Mount Shasta rises nearly 10,000 feet above the surrounding northern California wilderness. Combined with its neighboring subpeak Shastina, Shasta is the largest mountain by volume in the entire Cascade Mountain range. It is no surprise that the immensity and grandeur of Shasta make it one of the more popular hiking locations around. But thankfully, there are many reasonable options for climbing that still allow for the experience of solitude. Northern routes offer access to the four main glaciers in the form of everything from easy glacier climbs to full-on ice climbing. Southern routes on the mountain tend to avoid any and all glacier travel, but are best done when snow coverage remains on the gullies. The most traveled route is Avalanche Gully, a mildly steep yet direct route ascending just over 7,400 vertical feet in just under 6 miles each way. Equally non-technical but with an additional couple miles is the west face, and also equally non-technical but with an additional 5 miles is Clear Creek. We chose the west face as it offers less crowds and easy access to ascend Shastina from a common high camp. One may also consider Cascade Gulch to climb both Shasta and Shastina, but this adds a challenge of navigating an increasingly troublesome bergschrund near the top of the route, which may or may not be passable depending on the season and the timing. The climb for the west face begins at Bunny Flat Trailhead, just under 7,000 feet of elevation. From there, an easy-to-follow trail gains elevation slowly over the first few miles to reach Horse Camp, the site where early climbers of the mountain began climbing after arriving there on horseback. A hut built in 1922 is the primary feature of this site, now used as a rest stop and an emergency shelter during winters. This is also where the west face approach diverges from Avalanche Gully's approach. From the hut, we followed a lesser trail running climbers left towards Hidden Valley in the northwest. The trail now gains elevation more quickly and begins to become more dissipated through steep rock fields. On the ascent at one point, we lost the trail in a steep loose section and moved up the hill towards trees. The trees along the ridge above the trail offer more solid ground to travel on, but require an extra 100 feet or so of gain and loss. After reaching Hidden Valley, the west face gully ascends a 45-degree break in the rock band separating Hidden Valley from the upper mountain. With Shastina on our minds, we chose instead to attain the gully farther down, ascending loose third-class rock to reach the terminal end of the rock band. We set up camp here at 10,000 feet, just as a whiteout was rolling in. "2021 was an unusually low snow year for this part of California. And despite the early June timing, we were experiencing conditions akin to a late July ascent. Our alpine start was not necessary, as almost no snow existed on the route. Aside from the rime ice wind deposits from the night's storm, the rocks were completely bare. This made travel up the gully challenging towards the top, where the slope angle approached 45 degrees. It was doable, if not quite as enjoyable as it would have been with snow coverage. At the top of the gully at 13,200 feet, we at last found snow coverage sufficient to don our crampons. From here, an ascent of Misery Hill leads to a flat section just below the summit. Worth noting, along the route, just before turning up to the summit, you can find a small hot springs. This is the site where John Muir recounts surviving an unanticipated winter storm by staying in the hot springs overnight. From the hot springs, the summit is only minutes away. A short hike up the final hill attains the summit, which, unlike many high volcanic summits, is sharp and well-defined. Views here range from Lassen Peak in the south to the Sisters up in the north on a good day. To descend, we utilized the same route without an issue. Overall, the west face was straightforward and lacking in crowds. We saw only one other team on the entire trip. This route presents a relatively easy and non-technical way of attaining the summit of a 14,000-foot mountain, and can be a good mountain to test one's altitude response, but I can imagine a fun glissade or ski descent with this route under more abundant snow conditions. Yeah, just really not a lot of snow cover this year. As you can see up there, the snow gully just ends a little above 13,000 feet, leaving some somewhat sketchy, loose rock scrambling up there. Definitely doable, but just not as enjoyable as this. It's amazing because this is mid-June. You don't expect to see it this far gone until July or, later in the summer. But I guess they just had such a bad snowpack here in California that is what it is this year. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe for more Mountain Beta.